grew up south of Bend in the lumber town of Gilchrist. I was real small. I was the smallest kid going into high school. I wasn't even 5 foot tall. The guys called me Pixie because of that. The reason I volunteered for the Navy was because they saw more of the world than anybody else. I saw it as my only way of getting out. If I stayed there in Gilchrist, I was going to work in that sawmill, and that's probably where I was going to be the rest of my life. After boot camp, I went to A school for navigation quartermaster, and I checked aboard USS Durham in January of 1972.
My mom was traveling the world, and Dad was stationed in San Diego. It was a blind date. They actually didn't like each other the first night, but they gave it a second go, and by the end of the second night, my mom knew that she would spend her life with him.
That was when the NVA put their push into South Vietnam, the beginning of March of 1975. Our job was to go over and evacuate as many refugees as possible, so we were diverted south to the Cam Ranh Bay, Phan Rang area. We anchored in the bay, and then a small fishing boat came alongside, and we took on our first refugees. Well, as soon as the word got out, then more and more fishing boats showed up, and they began quite frantically trying to get to our brow. I remember some of the looks on their faces, kind of shock and disbelief and panic. We could see the battle from a distance, and it was kind of like an electric storm. And we pulled up anchor, and we went back out to sea. And I can still see those fishing boats floating around in that bay, and people waving, thinking we're coming back the next day, and we're not. I found out that most of the rest of them had been pretty much disposed of. It made me real angry. I remember going into San Diego, and we felt pretty good about what we had just done, and we were proud of it. And when we floated in, it was like nobody knew. I watched as those towers fell, and I watched the faces of those people that ran from it. And I turned to my wife and I said, "I've seen this before." And it just brought back memories. It brought back the visions and the memories of what had happened. They started with 4 guys and a cup of coffee. Well, I joined them, and they were kind of fun. I began to feel very good about who I was, and very good about the fact that I was a veteran, and very proud again of what I had done. And so they said, "Can we make this a permanent home?" And I said, "You bet you can." It is a tremendous group that does a lot in the community. It's opened up a huge amount of doors for me to do a lot of things that I really have enjoyed to do, that have been therapy for me.
His faith is so strong. The reason I'm still single is I haven't met someone like my dad. He's an amazing guy, and it's hard to live up to that standard.
Once I had this little button that was given to me. It was a 50-year badge for Vietnam. And I took the badge off and I handed it to the guy. And I said, "Welcome home." And he began to cry. And then I realized what I had to do. And when I find these guys, I walk over to them and I talk to them. And I give them one of these buttons and I say, "Welcome home."